GM.
I guess we got to open with breaking news.
Breaking news.
Yeah, FTX and FTX US has filed for bankruptcy.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that it turns out it was all a big prank. Just kidding, guys. We got all the money. It's all there. Just found the random bank account that I misplaced.
You're half right. You're half right. If you look at their balance sheet, it's not quite as bad as it looks. And I say that within the context of they certainly seem to still have quite a big hole. But they do have maybe $6 billion in assets. Some very illiquid, some more liquid, and some are actual liquid. It is.
I'm gonna drink my hot liquid right now. That sounded weird.
Right. I'm very. It is.
Start the show over.
Yeah, and I think we all expected it to be like a $10 billion hole, and they have nothing. They have something, but it is whether or not that is attractive to somebody for a bailout, right? It's about whether it is feasible that anyone would do that. Now, they just filed bankruptcy for bankruptcy protection. I don't know if that means they've run out of investors, right, who are looking there and checking it out. Now, it was weird to me that CZ immediately came out and said, when they did their due diligence and they did not think they could do anything here. The whole doesn't, CZ could literally pay this out of his personal net worth and it wouldn't even knock him down 10%, right? So this is not a crazy amount in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, the trust issues are the main.
That's what I was going to say. There's a reputation that comes with that too.
Right,
and
exactly.
What do you do with it? Are you just doing it to make everybody whole, or are you going to be acquiring a business from it? I think someone like Binance could use it to onboard customers. However, all of these people have to go somewhere after if they're going to stay in crypto. It's probably going to be Binance or Coinbase anyways.
Yeah.
Or a self-custodied wallet, which is where most of it should have been.
And I'll tell you, this is going to be a very, I guess you'd say, bifurcated show. Because if you look at traditional markets, or I guess everyone's favorite buzzword this year, the macro picture. Yesterday, we got our most obvious sign yet that something that people looking under the surface have seen for 6 months. Inflation peaked in May. Now, that didn't mean inflation was low. It just means that the trend had peaked. Remember, especially if you're a central bank, what you're worried about here is whether this is transient or not. And of course, each side has claimed they were right. The people who said it was not transient felt vindicated because the Fed didn't make it go away instantly. And now the people who have seen prices coming down for months, okay, especially on the producer side, when we're talking about input costs. I mean, commodities have come down to 2021 levels. That is finally being reflected in the headline, in consumer prices, right? And people want to know what the Fed watches, okay? If you're not on Wall Street or you don't do macro investing for a living, you may not know that what the Fed is paying attention to very specifically is core month-over-month CPI. Now, what is core? Core, first of all, means they remove all the stuff that is superfluous, right? Like, if you buy an automobile, that's not a weekly purchase you make, right? So even though they include that in the headline and the overall numbers, they remove certain things for the core, because the core is what's important. That's the stuff people are spending money on all the time. Rent, food, daily expenses. Okay, that's the important number the Fed is tracking. That number has been coming in hot. Okay, even as gas prices have been falling, input prices falling, PPI falling, though that number has still been coming in hot. Yesterday was the first number that it was a soft result. So it was an insane reaction by, of course, the stock market, which had its 15th best session ever in history. But more importantly, the bond market and the dollar index, right? Because stocks are a much higher beta way to view the risk on, risk off concept, all right? Bonds and currency tend to be a slower, more reliable gauge of where people are. Now, I was even saying yesterday, you know, stocks were up 5 to 7% across the board. I mean, if you were in anything high beta, it was up over 10% yesterday. I had a few that 25, 30% gainers on my chart. Not shit.
Yeah. My email is going nuts with like all of my individual stocks because there's alerts on it when it trades above a certain volume or it goes up more than 10%. It was just like, even my non-crypto stuff was like, this went up 10%. This has gone up. This is trading at high volume. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, but you know, relatively stocks are the more volatile play in traditional markets. Bonds and the dollar are a much better signal. And boy, I don't know if I've ever seen bonds as much as I saw up yesterday. And the dollar continues strength today with the euro briefly touching 103. It's pulling back a bit. And it's funny. It actually seems the entire market started to tank on the FTX bankruptcy. We're going to dive into crypto and what you and I think here, because we've been observing this price action. It's certainly not what we would have expected in the first few days after the FTX reporting. But like I said, bifurcated show, because given what's going on in macro, if crypto was not involved in an industry-specific scandal right now, holy shit. I mean, and remember, coins were up 20, 30% yesterday. Well, they would have done that from where they were before the crash had that. Now, we'd have been over 2K on ETH, no question. And look, ifs and buts are candies and nuts, and we'll all have a Merry Christmas, but you cannot ignore the macro picture here.
Yeah, I also think that, like we said on the Wednesday show and kind of with the CPI print yesterday, it's also swept this whole thing up a little bit. I'm starting to see it seep through with like mainstream media. Obviously they're reporting on it, but it's not like it hasn't been front page news because there's been so much other things that everybody cares about to talk about. So at least like from a pure like black mark across crypto, it's been relatively minimal, I think. Like, do you feel that too? Like, are most people
without question.
Most people that are talking about this are the ones in crypto, right? Because if nothing was happening in the news and in the world, I swear to God, my friends would be like, "How you doing, man?" Like, I told you so." Like, you know,
go look at the New York Post cover today. It's in my Twitter stream. I retweeted
for it.
They finally put it on the front page, and it's half of the front page. The top half. No one, I guarantee you, nobody knows who that guy is. They put him next to Gisele Bundchen. So everyone's looking at the top page like, why is Gisele Bundchen with this like weird, poorly dressed? Is this, I guarantee this is who everyone thinks she's dating after Tom Brady. That's probably
the Brady's are down bad too, though. That's,
there were some very erroneous reports suggesting he had most of their $600 million wealth. Not even that's
well, I just wonder if, you know, maybe they made a $20 million investment and it had ballooned to 600 million, and then the report was that they're losing that much because that's the point.
Exactly. I didn't dig in on the math.
Well, paper value, you know, like
there's a great
Michael Jordan became a billionaire when the Clippers sold to Steve Ballmer for like several billion more than was expected, right? Yeah. Like, it's just one of those things that one thing happens and everybody else is all of a sudden, you know, a billionaire on paper, right?
Fuck R2. I knew, you and I could have had ETH under 1,200. It's already back at 1,250, right now. We knew it was because I saw FTX goes chapter 11. ETH started tank again. I'm like,
who didn't see that coming though? Like who watching this? Who talking on Twitter? Who watching this thinks like FTX will pull through this?
It's bankruptcy. First of all, it's bankruptcy.
Also, it's bankruptcy. Right. So let's talk about what chapter 11 is, because I'm sure our savvy listeners all know, but a lot of times people see chapter 11 and we're like, wow, like 50 Cent filed for chapter 11. Everyone's like, I knew that guy was broke. And he's not broke at all. So chapter 11 is it's so the company can restructure, giving a business or individual time to get their financial affairs back in order. So it's like liquidating assets, moving funds around, and it's just putting a pause on everything that's happening internally, right?
Also, it does not exclude them from being able to go out and continue to try to save the thing. They can still try to go and save it and court people. I was like, why does he like this? Seemed like the most obvious thing I had ever seen. I was like, man, that's an insta buy, especially the market.
Again, we're talking about this. Everybody's talking about this. It's been baked into the price.
I have to be emphatic here because there are rare moments when you can say this, but there is going to be an utterly historic short squeeze in traditional markets over the next 3 to 6 weeks. Okay. I think it ends first week of December or whatever, but you do not understand how short Wall Street was, how underpositioned to stocks they were, and how bearish everybody was going into yesterday's CPI. Guaranteed it was going to be hot. Everyone knew it was going to be hot. Okay. We had the most important signal in markets in October when we rallied on a hot CPI report. I came on this show. It's all I've talked about for a month. I said
it's true. He has. I've been here for it all.
I said it is a obvious change in temperament when you rally on bad news. Period. That is a change in markets. I said they know something's coming, and guess what? They were one report early. The smart money always knows. They have high frequency signals that you and I don't see. They're looking at the same math that the Fed looks at. That's why they get ahead of them. That's why they can guess. That's why
they can pay people to put those numbers together and program algorithms and track prices across things. Probably better than the government does.
Yep. Oh, much better. And that's what good operators do. Like you can do it too. I can teach you to do it. It's just it requires you to not look at the headline and go, oh, inflation is 7.7%. Your average person looks at that headline and doesn't understand what it means.
They understand it in near real time.
Right. And you have to look under the surface, understand the most important theory of all, which is economic lag, right? Like right now, you're going to go through 6 months of, look, inflation's dead. We did it. The Fed engineered a soft landing. There were no job losses. Business barely stopped. And they killed inflation. This is the greatest move by a central bank in history. You are going to be hearing that over the next 4 months, okay? The thing is, the effects of 5% interest rates, which the Fed has taken us to quicker than any central bank has ever raised interest rates in history, okay?
Is that true?
Yes.
I thought there was one where they like jacked it up like huge.
It's the percentage. It's from where it came. It's not the percent.
Oh, so like going from 1% to 2% is actually 100% increase.
Exactly. And it's not about that means it's worse than going from say 2 to 8%. You know, just because we went from 0.25 to 5 doesn't mean that 10x is materially worse. All it means is it's the fastest the Fed has ever changed the rate at which money costs ever. All right.
It went from 0 to that's like infinite. It's infinite increase. They increased the
and again, I know that there was a lot of fun made of Kathy Wood when she wrote a letter talking about how it's worse than Volcker and da-da-da-da. It's not worse than Volcker in the way Kathy was pitching it, okay? But it is still technically the fastest in history, all right? But back to the main point, they were the reasons for them doing that underneath the surface have now 1275. We retraced the entire move. The reasons for that, okay, now coming to the surface, it's showing that it's time for them to pause and stop, okay? And you're not going to see, but the thing is, everyone's going to be getting bullish on that. But we haven't seen the effects of 5% interest rates yet. Just like There is an economic lag in the good news. We've been tanking this year, and I have been screaming from the rafters. Inflation's dead. We've been getting good news across the board, et cetera, et cetera.
Hot girls here.
And people are like, oh, but it continues to go down. But it continues to go down. But the smart money was looking at the same high frequency signals. And again, it wasn't about not being bearish when everything was going down. It was knowing this isn't 2008. Why isn't this 2008? Why isn't this a giant systemic crisis? Why isn't this going to give us the next secular bear that lasts 13 years that we can't get out of? There were many reasons. The main one being inflation is definitely transitory thanks to supply chain issues, COVID, the war. You guys all know the reasons. We got an expert today saying that if the war continues as it is, Russia will be beat before the summer. I don't think it's going to take that long. I think Russia's going to find an excuse to pull out and claim they won, but they'll spin it. All right. But people got way too bearish. And of course, one reason is because this is, a crypto focused show, and crypto had its own internal issues, which was massive, insane leverage. You want to blame 0% interest rates. You want to blame technology. You want to blame just the fact that it was the greatest bubble human beings had ever seen. Come on, human beings have been making bubbles for a long time. Fucking tulips went from 0 to 5,000 guilders. That was like 20 years salary back in Amsterdam. Humans have been doing bubbles forever, okay? Nothing new here. And I think I'm not a big Michael Burry fan, but he retweeted a very good quote the other day, and is, if you don't know how much leverage is in an industry, you don't know anything about that industry, no matter how much you think you know. And that is a very poignant statement, because I think all of us here know a lot about whether our expertise lies in the technological aspect of crypto or how financial markets work as traders, or whether you're in the NFT or you obviously know. But when you don't know how much leverage there was, and now we can see in retrospect what there was, you just don't know how much an industry is worth. It's impossible to price, okay? Animal instincts and behaviors take over. So crypto in its own world made everything feel a lot worse than it was. I really think that the macro picture improving over the next 6 months is going to trump whatever's happening within crypto, only to the effect of we won't be seeing new lows. I am not saying crypto certainly is going to have to work through whatever this is. This is not good.
It's going to hold us back from all-time highs. But I mean, aside from like a Binance or a Coinbase collapse, which I think at this point they're going to be going over everything with a fine-tooth comb, and they were probably mostly on the up and up anyways. But when FTX goes down, you're already seeing regulators and lawmakers and stuff like that launching investigations into what happened there. They're going to be Binance and Coinbase know that they're going to be under not only public scrutiny, but government scrutiny as well. And I have to believe that they have all of their books in order. Although I would have said the same thing about FTX 2 weeks ago. So you never know. But I don't know how much worse it can get in terms of news cycle for crypto, right? And so compare that with, and we were talking about this a lot in the pre-show, was just that we know institutional investors are on the sidelines waiting. They're going to be competing with each other to buy as much as possible. And, they're going to be there to catch the prices falling, at least on things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, probably Solana, honestly, maybe Doge. I don't know. There's going to be a bundle of them that they're going to be stocking up on. I'm sure there's going to be lots of altcoins that just go to zero like they always do, but there's too much interest on this from big money. And, they're not going to sit there and wait for $500 ETH, $700 ETH. Like, just don't see it. So,
and I'll say this, I will remind everyone every show we have, because relative strength is one of my favorite strategies in markets in general. But Doge and Matic are the only major coins that are liquid on all good exchanges. I don't even know what to say in that respect. They're liquid where you can buy them. I don't know where you should buy them, but they're liquid wherever you can buy them. They're actually up over the last 2-week, 3-week period. Okay, like you can't find
Polygon up 6%.
Polygon and Doge are actually up over. And look,
no. Doge isn't.
What are you talking
Doge
about?
not.
Doge was at 5 cents 3 weeks
Oh,
ago.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Sorry. Right. I was looking at 1 week. Doge is down 32%. But yes.
No, because think about it though. Take any other coin and stretch it back that far, we're down. You're down on that coin. Okay. So there's obvious relative strength in these two for two very specific reasons. Doge is expected to get news flow from Elon, and Matic constantly is getting Web 2 news flow during this bear and looking like it's going to be, the star L2 Ethereum scaling solution, however, you want to look at it. So really great relative strength in those two coins, just as a side note. But I think our underlying thought, and at least from watching the price action, because look, I didn't know 2 days ago when I was listening to, I was sick to my stomach. I'm like, God, everyone else, just like everyone else says, it's like you have everyone in your life telling you it's a scam and you're giving them every reason it's not. And now what are you supposed to fucking say? We have nothing to say.
And the thing is, it is as bad as it seems. Like FTX, this happening in FTX is really, really bad. It's what's that?
Worse. I know it's as bad as you think and worse.
But it's being propped up by other news cycles that are taking precedent over or taking priority over reporting on FTX. And we've already gone through a lot of shit, right? If ETH was $5,000 right now and Bitcoin was $60,000 and FTX
it'd be the same price right now.
Yes, exactly. It would be
1,217.
The line would be straight down to $1,200, right? We've just already given all of that away on all of the other shit news that we've had, right? And this feels like almost a pretty good nail in the coffin for like making new lows, because I just truly believe that unless there's a black swan event, and black swan events are ones that we can't really think of, can't really see, don't really know on the horizon, why isn't ETH or Bitcoin at yearly lows? Why didn't it dip down to 800?
Why isn't it zero? Why isn't FTT?
That one I don't understand. No, I don't understand. But I don't understand FTT in general. But hey, I mean,
FTTs. It's also because people could see FTT's balance sheet, number one, probably at FTX's balance sheet, and see it wasn't as bad as not that it's not bad. I'm not minimizing. I'm saying you're talking about pricing risk assets, not about whether something is like good or bad on a moral scale. I'm talking about it didn't seem as bad, so that's what. But of course,
it's still a top 100 crypto.
No, of course, yeah. But why? Anyone would ask, why isn't it zero?
That's what the entire crypto market would have looked like if this was back in November.
That is, you tell me that volume isn't giving everyone the middle finger. Look at that volume pattern. It's like fuck you. Woo! That was gold. I think maybe the explanation is that doesn't Alameda own most of the FTT? So until they sell, wouldn't it have some sort of value? Or I guess no. Couldn't everyone else sell?
No, the value is just derived by the last person that bought it.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, there's obviously some demand.
So at this point, it's the same thing with Luna. Luna was collapsing, and everyone's like buying now.
And for the sake of how long their jail sentence is, it better not be Alameda or FTX buying it. I'll say that right now. They better be using those funds to repay customers.
Could you imagine there's still leverage trading on the FTX platform without?
Oh my God. Well, there's been a lot of weird things happening with addresses within.
Well, it's true, because as SBF even said, we'll get to the thread in a second, Alameda is winding down trading activity, which means have they not stopped? No?
Say that again. Sorry.
No, in that thread that he put out yesterday, he said Alameda will be winding down trading activity, which means have they not stopped?
They did. They did. It's that they stopped. And you can even see about an hour ago, all their market making completely ceased. Like the books are so thin right now. Like,
Yeah.
boy, if there is good news, the pop is going to be epic because there is just there is absolutely no volume on the books. But I just think one point and that I would make, and you and I were alluding to and talking about, is that BlackRock was the largest investor in FTX, I forget if it was largest or a large investor in FTX. And more than crypto involving themselves with somebody from their industry that seems to have done criminal acts, TradFi can come in as the white knight. You know what I mean? Like this is we
Yeah.
are we are coming in to help these poor affected citizens by this exchange. And we want to pay, and then they will lobby a bunch of senators to agree with wording in a bill that most benefits the exchange and products that they will eventually set up with crypto. So I would be watching BlackRock and Goldman Sachs here in relation to what is going on. Remember, during the crisis in June, Goldman Sachs put together a fund to bid for Voyager. It was public news that they put out a note to their clients that they were raising money. This was not a Goldman Sachs fund. This was a fund that they were going to create with clients' money. It's different, right? Because again, for them to create crypto products, they're going to need regulation in place. They can still create funds that invest in exotic and alternative investments of all kinds. I mean, crazy things they're allowed to do, but they cannot create products of their own. So that is exactly what they're waiting for. Legolas, yeah, we reported that right at the beginning of the show there.
And also, again, Chapter 11 bankruptcy, right? So different, but not good. Guys, wow, 30 minutes into the show. Thank you so much. November 11th, episode 164 of the AM show. Still lots to talk about with FTX. BlockFi looking like it's at some risk too, despite what some people have said on Twitter. And I got to say, people need to start being careful about what they say on Twitter. With like this coming out and we're fine. And then 12 hours later, it's like, yeah, we weren't fine. I know that you have to kind of do some public reassurance of people, but sometimes I think keeping your mouth shut for a little bit longer
I don't.
might be.
You got to understand, this was spurred by a bank run. Okay, this is what caused this to be an issue. It was not an issue until everyone ran to take their money out of FTX.
Yes. Of course.
So every company that has user deposits has to put out statements now saying they're safe, because even if you are not solvent right now, if everybody doesn't come and try to take their money out, you can survive until prices go back up. Remember, this is all tied to the price of your assets that you get loans on and what they're worth. And FTX would have made it to the other side had everyone not to try to. I'm not advocating or say they should have.
No, this is why it feels like a master plan by CZ.
Right.
And there is now some speculation that I'm seeing that like CZ actually had warned SBF a couple times in private and was like kind of telling him like, look, you're playing with fire here and whatnot. And apparently it was ignored. This was all allegedly until he finally basically just had to say, look, we're de-risking ourselves of all things FTX. And I mean, they hold big enough positions in things that they kind of have to make a public statement when they start to move funds, because again, it's all on chain and people see what they're doing. So they had to get out and ahead of it. But I mean, that public statement by CZ of basically saying we are leaving all things FTX and this is why, is what caused this in the first place. And I'm not saying that CZ did a bad thing. I do think that there was probably a little bit of a master plan or a chess move in there for sure. And so does Sam, apparently. But I mean, again, this caused people to start running to the exit, right?
I don't think
And
he
once
thought Sam
once
was.
all of that starts going down and then more
Yeah,
people start running to the exit, then FTX is like, we are now royally fucked. Would
right.
that have happened eventually? Maybe, probably, but this was caused by that tweet.
I agree with Kobe's theory that CZ didn't intend. This wasn't a Machiavellian, or he doesn't. He says it could be, but if he were going to assign probabilities, right? He doesn't necessarily think it was a Machiavellian plan. CZ was trying to teach him a lesson, okay? But he didn't think he was insolvent either. I don't think anybody thought it was this bad. And CZ was like, oh, we could fuck this guy, but he didn't think that it would crush him. And yeah, of course, SBF could have turned it. They were making $10 million a day. This was only caused by a bank run.
And for
right.
every time that this happens to a company and you see it go down publicly, there's probably 5 companies that were like this close to it happening, and you just will never know about it.
That and that's what we were trying to say on
I bet Coinbase
Monday.
has been that close at one point. I bet Binance has been that close at some point in the last 5 years. Like I bet there have been tons and tons of instances we will never know that this almost happened.
I guarantee you every titan of industry has been insolvent at one point. We read the tweet by Gainsey. I'm just reiterating what he says, but it's true, okay? You can be, when you're a titan of industry and you are playing that type of game and taking that type of, remember, you can make a few $100 million up to $1 billion by being a good little boy. When you're going to play in the real echelons of business, it is cutthroat, high risk. And when people see what you're doing, they attack you. They come
and they all know each other.
Right. You can't hide.
They go to dinners together. They attend parties together. And in the back rooms, they just absolutely demolish each other.
Of course. I'm telling you, Bernie Madoff.
In his thread, Sam even alluded to the fact that this was all a game. You got me, good friend. Right. I'll get you next time, chap. Like...
Stocks rebounded the month after Bernie Madoff was caught. Okay. Had Bernie Madoff not been snitched out and not had found out he was insolvent and caused a run on him and stocks had turned around, Bernie Madoff wouldn't have been insolvent. This isn't to excuse. Nobody should ever leverage themselves that much. The thing is, you're never going to reach the heights that those type of megalomaniac risk takers reach when they do it correctly. You just idolize the guys that got it right. Okay. These guys got it wrong and they're going to reap the repercussions of it. But this was caused by a bank run. FTX was making 10 million a day. They could have covered their short-term liabilities. And then the moment the value of crypto went back up in the next year or so, they're fine. You can cover your short-term liabilities for years with that. You just can't cover a bank run.
Riz asking, chances SBF was in on it to make crypto look bad for more strict regulation from the government? I would say less than 1%.
Yep.
I don't think that this guy was a plant. I don't think that he had bad intentions. I think that he was somebody that just made this run, this incredible run. And we've seen people make these huge, massive runs over a 3 or 4 year period where they come from basically obscurity to these crazy heights. And then it all comes crashing down because he was just hyper leveraged. And he was using all of the deposits and all of the investor money that was raised in a way to basically market FTX, right? And that was a lot of the discussion on the All In or the Up Only podcast too. Is like, how did FTX get from where they were, which is 0 in 2019, to being a top 3 crypto exchange in such a short period of time? And it's because they were very, very aggressive with money they shouldn't have been in terms of marketing, in terms of pushing for things, in terms of saving these companies, bailing people out. They just made the news cycle nonstop. They were naming arenas. They had their name on every jersey or every umpire jersey in the MLB. And we see this all the time in traditional business. The companies that market and get themselves out there. I mean, Uber has never turned a profit because they're taking all of that money that they're earning and pumping it back into the market to try and gain a moat, to try and gain market share as fast as possible. That's what FTX did. They just unfortunately did it with money that they shouldn't have been doing it with. And you could say that a company like Coinbase or a company like Binance or Kraken or Gemini aren't doing it to that extent. So yeah, of course they were able to compete with them in terms of market share, but it was because they were putting themselves at this hyper level of risk. And now we saw where that got them, right?
Yeah. And
like, I don't think that he was a plant. I just think that he was all of the sudden worth more money than most people can ever even imagine, and a level of wealth that you can't even perceive unless you experience it, and had a team around him that they just weren't equipped to make the right decisions, I guess.
Right.
Or maybe they thought they were making the right decisions, and it just, like you said, you play with fire. Sometimes you get burned, and sometimes you come out looking like, the hero.
The two interesting things left in this story are, do they get bailed out? Does somebody, save customer deposits? And then what happens to the company? That's one. But the other thing that's going to be very interesting here, of course, is what are the repercussions in, people think this is going to speed along unfavorable regulation for crypto. And, they may very well be true. And that's always what we were kind of worried about, not the price of coins, but more whether we would have the type of casinos that we've had during the great bull run that everybody just experienced. And yes, Dickenza Epoch has listed all his punks, including his Grail alien punk, all his apes, some gen art, and a few other things, as he had money on FTX. It looks like he's looking to raise a minimum of about $10 million in ETH, or 8,000 ETH, because his collection's definitely worth that. And he said that he will either sell the collection to the highest bidder, or he will fractionalize it in a DAO and sell 80% of it to the public for 8,000 ETH. And that is, we hear about DAOs where they raise money from the public to go buy the art. This is completely different. This is somebody who has the art and he is selling it at the lows of the market at a fair price in a DAO, so he can retain 20% ownership of it. They're all grails. If you believe in NFTs long term and you had a lot of money, it's probably not a bad way to help a friend out and also get kind of at least a guarantee you're not going to lose your money, right? So those are the two things. He's either going to sell the whole collection to someone who wants it, or fractionalize it for 10,000 ETH into a DAO, which he'll retain 20% and sell the rest 8,000.
That's interesting. Interesting move, but yeah,
it's sad. I mean, he has a envied, storied NFT collection, of course, like I said, with that Grail alien punk, a gold ape. There it is.
Yeah.
So this is all up for sale. It is definitely worth that, mainly because of the alien
and Helix.eth.
Huh?
And Helix.eth.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you guys, ENS, blah, 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 blah. But that alien punk was probably worth $20 million at the peak of the NFT market. So if you believe punks are the grail that they are, and that the alien within the punk collection is the grail that it is, it probably at least gets back up to 20 million. So this whole collection going for about 14 million right now seems like a steal for anybody to get in on, who has that type of money and would
Hmm.
hop into it now.
It's not SBF. I guess I don't know if we're beating the FTX conversation to a pulp here. I did want to talk about the thread that he put out yesterday because I think it kind of made a lot of people cross-eyed a little bit. But I'm also going to just say Yo-Yo Street. Like, if this was all a plan, like if this was a plan to make crypto look bad, they wouldn't have toppled the domino in the middle of the midterm elections. Um, they would have done it during a very quiet news cycle so that it would just be plastered everywhere. You could see it. I mean, I I get where people are connecting these dots, and why it looks like that. As parents being some prominent people and lobbyists and whatnot, or lawyers. I don't really know the whole story there, but I don't know. My mind doesn't go there. I think that this is a totally reasonable story of somebody who just did some really shitty things and misplayed with money he should not have done. And I honestly hope that he pays the price. Like, I hope he goes to prison. If he doesn't go to prison, I mean, I think it's a huge failure on the legal system's part. But I don't think that this is already making crypto look bad enough. I don't think that they needed a plant to do it.
Yeah, I do not think that this was he very specifically from what we I'm only answering this because Dikenza is asking why it wasn't in cold storage. It's not even about that. It could have been on cold storage, but he used it to cover Alameda's loss. And the curious thing to us is what caused it? What happened to Alameda that was the result? Was it the Luna thing? As we
Yeah.
suspect that they were either market making Luna and something broke, or because you can market make something, and if your algorithm fucks up, anything could happen where all of a sudden you're not market making it and you're long delta in the wrong direction. And I just that's what I really think is going to be the cure. How did they lose that money? How do they lose
I
that
think
much money?
well, let's get into the thread too, because apparently it could happen to anybody. You just mislabel a couple of accounts and you don't really you know I'm still looking for the bank account of mine that has the $40 million in it. Like, I swear it's there somewhere. I changed the name. I'm not sure. I don't
I just
remember what.
don't know how you can lose when you're trading against your clients. Like, they literally could take the flow
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
FTX and trade against it. I guess the only reply is they were actually honest and not trading against their customers. Is that what we're to surmise here?
No, I think it just goes back to the Luna thing where they were probably over leveraged in a couple of instances. They also, there was also some talk about, like, the price action changing does change things dramatically too, right? Like, ETH just dropping from $4,000 to $1,200, or action in the other way, really does kind of throw off some of the books if you weren't careful with your expenditures during that time, right?
Yeah.
Like, in a really simple, dumbed down way, if somebody buys ETH at $1,000 and then ETH goes to $4,000, you give them that ETH, and now they try to cash it out from you. That $4,000, what have you done with that $1,000 to make sure that you can cover that one ETH that you just sold to somebody, right?
Right.
Like, you can't necessarily just buy it back. Like, so all of those things are, I think they also allowed an incredible people to trade on incredible amounts of leverage, right? And when people win on leverage, you owe them that money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well,
Is that right?
that's why you assume they're trading against them.
Right.
Liquidations, hello? Like,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
whole
I
point,
know.
is that they
But
can
but
see.
when what's her name goes on this talk show and says, we don't believe in having stop losses and stuff like that. Like, does it not show just a very incredible lack of sophisticated knowledge of how this all works?
Yes, apparently. You know, I don't know what they were I really don't know what.
No, I mean, I'm listening to her talk in this, and I can't play the sound right now, but I didn't hear somebody that I would trust to be the CEO of an exchange, and maybe it's just a what's that?
I said, boy, R2, I said this was going to be a bifurcated show, and the stock market just made a new high here, 39.88. It looks like it's going to get back above 4,000.
Did you
And
just turn Boston for a second? Boston accent?
something like that. And
Smack it.
the scope of this rise is magnificent, something to behold. This is going to turn into one of the greatest 2-day rallies the stock market has ever seen.
So where are we opening at on Monday when we do the show? What do you think?
I don't, what's going to happen with this type of move is there's going to be random either for a day or in the middle of it, just like 100-point pullback, and then it'll retrace that same day or da-da-da. That could happen at any time. But I will tell you right now, 4,150 on the S&P as a magnet. I think it's going to get there very quickly. It could get there tomorrow. Not Monday.
Right here?
What'd you say?
Like this peak right here?
Yes. And the reason is it's the theory of volume profile. Okay. This is when you look at where the most volume was traded at what price. Remember, if you just look at the volume on the bottom of the chart, that's time-based. It tells you what day the most volume was traded, which can be useful information in a certain way. But more useful information would be at what price were the most shares traded, because that means that if you get to that price, if it is above you, all the people who bought there probably are happy to be even. And they're like, all right, I'm going to sell. I got my money back. I screwed up. I shouldn't have bought there. We fell, but now we're even. And that's your wall. It's hard to get above that. Okay. You can see that on volume profiles, because if you see where the most money was traded, the most people have interest at that price. So if we get to that price, you could expect a reaction. So if we're heading down into it, expect the opposite reaction. You're heading up into it, expect that. Once we get above 4,000, which we're very close to right now, we will be in that volume pocket. In other words, very few shares were traded between 4,000 and 4,150. A lot were traded at 4,000. A lot were traded at 4,150. Very few in between. That's a hole in the volume profile. If we are bid into that hole, it will levitate very quickly towards the next shelf, the volume shelf above it. So that is a very good indicator to use in crypto as well.
So 4,150 and then like 43?
4,150. Then the next place above that is going to be 4,250 to 4,350, which is where we got to in August. We had quite the rally in July and into the first couple weeks of August, and then we reversed right around 43.30 on the S&P 500. The short squeeze coming over the next few weeks could possibly take us all the way to 43.30. Just like that, obviously, you would expect a big pause there, and seasonality starts to get rough again. We're actually in great seasonality right now. The Santa rally that a lot of people talk about usually comes around Thanksgiving. It should be more appropriately called the Turkey rally. Then markets are actually seasonally weak for the first couple weeks of December. Maybe logic holds that everybody is out buying gifts and not buying stocks.
Tax loss harvesting.
Went back to Boston. Yep. So, they're suspending the Twitter blue verification check marks. You don't even.
What? Wait, what?
My check mark turned blue. That's weird.
I didn't even know you had a check mark.
Thanks. So I
don't see it.
And it's interesting because on dark mode.
Oh, I do see it. Sorry.
On dark mode, your check mark was always white. And as you guys know, on light mode, it's the blue check. Everyone knows it is the blue check. Why was it white on the dark mode? We don't know, but it is blue now, which is pretty cool. And I still have it for now. But there were rumors this morning when we came in that they were thinking of nixing it because the amount of scams. Oh, wait, we have a new Sam tweet. Sending it. Yeah, go.
Live. No, I've got it. I've got SBF pulled up here.
All right, read it. This is 2 minutes ago.
It's a thread. Okay, I've not seen this. It's a short one. Okay, cool. Tweet 1. Hi, all. Let's make this big so you guys can read along, too. Hi, all. Hello, all. Today, I filed FTX US in Alameda for voluntary Chapter 11 proceedings in the US. I'm really sorry again that we ended up here. Hopefully, things can find a way to recover. Hopefully, this can bring some amount of transparency, trust, and governance to them. Ultimately, hopefully, it can be better for customers. This doesn't necessarily have to mean the end for the companies of their ability to provide value and funds to their customers chiefly, and can be consistent with other routes. Ultimately, I'm optimistic that Mr. Ray and others can help provide whatever is best. I'm going to work on giving clarity on where things in terms of user recovery ASAP. Where things are in terms of user recovery ASAP. I'm piecing together all of the details, but I was shocked to see things unravel the way they did earlier this week. I will soon write up a more complete post on the play-by-play, but I want to make sure that I get it right when I do.
All right. So the main tweet here is this doesn't necessarily have to mean the end for the companies or their ability to provide value and funds to their customers chiefly, and can be consistent with other routes. This is what we mentioned at the beginning of the show. Filing for Chapter 11 protection doesn't mean they can't go out and continue to court people to save them.
And you can come out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
It's not you file protection so that your creditors can't come break you before you have a chance to try and save it. Doesn't mean it's going to get saved. It just means that the market started to tank. Like, oh my God, it's over. They filed Chapter 11. They were going to file Chapter. They are Chapter 11. We know. We already.
They probably knew they were going to file Chapter 11 before all of this even went down.
It's not even, are they bankrupt? They were bankrupt. We know they had a $10 billion hole. This wasn't a question. They are literally, by the textbook definition, they are bankrupt. They filed for protection from creditors. Now they're going to continue to court. It doesn't mean they're going to get it. But if ETH was 1,300 before, we didn't get any new information. In fact, in a way, that's bullish. It helps slightly because it allows the Hail Mary a chance. Not that the Hail Mary has a good chance, but at least you're not squashed.
That's literally what a Hail Mary is.
There you go. Come on.
Low chance, but hey, it's a chance, right?
Right. And look,
chip in a chair, right?
ETH was 1290 before. It's 1272 now. And I'm not surprised. The market didn't get any new information. It's not about it being bullish. It's about, well, if it was at 1300 before, it didn't get any new info.
We were last week 1600. We haven't.
I meant before the news flash, like at the beginning of the show. I just
today, like last couple. I gotcha. Yep. Cool. I thought you meant that we'd made all of it back. No.
Snapchat $11.15 right now. After it reported earnings, it fell to $7.33, and boy, did the Discord ape the shit out of Snap. Because why? They're going to ban TikTok, and when they ban TikTok, Snap is going to have a 50% up day, whether they deserve it or not. The FMC.
You think they're going to actually get the ban through? This has been talked about for 2 years.
No, they're not going to get the ban. It probably wouldn't stick if they did it, but it doesn't need to. You just need a group of senators to look serious and actually get a bill onto the floor. Right. Boom. Snapchat pops 50% in a day. This stock was, I don't remember what it was at its peak, $80, $100 or something like that. It fell to $7.
Are you just betting on all American socials being the beneficiary of a TikTok ban? Because I don't see the parallel between.
Yes. Well, first of all, yes. And again, I am not betting on the fundamental case. Okay. In markets, we know that there is a lag between concepts being true and actually coming to fruition. You could be absolutely right that something's gonna happen, But you know that the market grabs a narrative and runs with it for weeks before the thing happens, or months or years. So that is what you trade. You trade perception and narratives. You don't trade what's fundamentally going to happen in 6 months. You invest. If you have a great idea to invest in that, I don't know how you would invest, because I agree with you. I don't think it's going to do anything. I don't think a ban would stick, even if it would be one of those things where you could get it to pass the House of Representatives and it wouldn't pass it'd be one of those things. But again, stock markets run on animal spirits on a day-to-day basis. Snapchat is down 90% this year. If you have positive news flow towards it, you're going to get days like you've had the last. Again, we are now up over 50% since our buy. And it's not because Snapchat's a good company. It's not because I use the product or believe in their social media vision. We're trading perception. And the perception that Meta and Snapchat were dead was stupid. And if you just sat there, all right, I'm a garbage rummager. That may not sound sexy on its face. I love stocks and things people have left for dead. Those to me are the easiest plays. When
you don't hear anybody saying that when ETH is at $5,000.
Well, look, when you have CNBC and Twitter and everybody's saying something like, oh, banks are dead, or retail is never coming back, everybody's moved to Amazon, or natural
Crypto is
gas
dead.
yeah, there's so many instances where, and look, you do hear that stuff all the time, but you'll notice a few times a year. This year, it was very specific in semiconductors and Kathy stocks. Okay, so our Kathy Wood, the head of ARK,
bullish on Coinbase again.
Yeah, she did. Now, many of the stocks in that portfolio are dead and going to be gone forever. But even amongst her shitty picks, there are a few that will survive and thrive in the coming, biotechnology revolution everybody's about to experience and all that type of stuff. This type of mean reversion is just my favorite type of play, because it happens very quickly. It's just short covering. Like, look, I did it with Carvana. Carvana got down to $20 in June. Okay. I didn't think Carvana is a good company. I didn't think it was going to, turn the boat around. There was the greatest used car market in history of anybody's lifetime ever, and Carvana couldn't make money. Incredible. Okay. But Carvana goes from 20 to 60 from June to August. We sold it at 60. It crashed to $6. It went from $60 to $6. That was after being $323 a share in January. Think about, you want to talk about a fall from grace. But everybody was making fun of Carvana last week. Everybody. You couldn't find one market watcher who wasn't saying, ha ha, Carvana, fuck it dead. Guess what? You had that with crypto yesterday. Every TradFi person, this is it. This is the stake that broke crypto. Like, they're never coming back. I was feeling that way until I heard everyone say that. Then I was like, ooh, fade. Okay. And crypto hasn't made new lows yet. So I am always looking for those things that have been overly pessimistic. And I just think social media like Meta and Snapchat and semiconductors like Intel, 3 companies which I loathe. If you search my Twitter for the Facebook, Snapchat, or Intel, all I did was trash those companies. I think there was actually a brief period in 2020 where I was bullish on Snapchat. But besides that, I hate those companies. But when anybody declares something dead that obviously isn't dead, great mean reversion trades. They're all going higher. Market's bullish. Buy the dips.
I feel that way about Meta. I feel that way about Meta.
Yeah, me too.
I hate Facebook, the product. I like Instagram, but I mean, I'm allowed to. And they've kind of been better. It's just like, where is that company? Where is that company actually going? It has like 2 billion fucking users.
It has the most users of any social media. It's there's nothing,
probably combined. Like maybe not TikTok now, but I mean, it's like, where is that going? Like, there's this idea that it's just all going to disappear. Like, no, it's not.
It got down
Doesn't
to
mean you have to like it.
$89.
You have to participate in it, but that doesn't mean that everybody else is going to do the same thing you are. I know tons of people who use Facebook. They post shit on there 20 times a day. They're still adamant about it. And there's millions and millions, probably hundreds of millions of people that are like that. And to think that a company like that isn't one of the most valuable companies in the world, and they're making this huge bet on a metaverse play. Now, there's a lot of people that'll argue they're spending way too much money on doing it. I could get behind that narrative for sure. But I mean, if that bet even remotely pays off in the way that I think we think it probably could, yeah, Meta's dead for sure. And again, I don't like him. I don't like Zuckerberg, but
it got down to $89 a share. It's 112 right now. So the market thought it was ridiculous too. That is quite the get.
And if you want to fade someone, fade Jim Cramer crying on live TV that his Meta pick was awful.
Yeah, and yesterday Cramer was cautious in the morning. We're selling into this pop, and the market rose literally another 5% after he said that. And I don't believe in the inverse Cramer call and all that. He's just as good as anybody. He's managing a large portfolio, and he was buying the bottom, which very few people don't realize. The bottom was 500 points ago on the S&P 5. By the time you've now realized that shit is getting better, now everything's getting better. Now inflation's turning around. Let's go buy. Well, the market's already 20% off the goddamn bottom. You're buying the local top again. Great.
All right, let's steer this back to crypto or NFTs, or I don't know. What do we want to read SBF's thread from yesterday, or are we bored?
Bored with FTX. There's nothing interesting there anymore. It's a dead story.
BlockFi. Are we surprised?
That was interesting. Not surprised, but this was what we were worried about during like the Voyager Celsius 3AC period. Like every day there was a new exchange pausing withdrawals, and KuCoin was rumored to be insolvent, and this one was rumored. We got to get through that. We need to get through the everybody being rumored to be insolvent phase. BlockFi looks like they are the next one to go down.
Which, I mean, owned by FTX, but were to remain an independent, quote unquote, independent entity until sometime early next year, mid next year. But again, like my biggest thing is that, and as you said, you kind of have to do some, I guess, reassurance there or whatever, but you got to kind of pick your battles, especially being owned by FTX, where they're like, the founder a couple days ago, November 8th, made this little thread. All BlockFi products are fully operational. BlockFi is an independent business entity. We have a $400 million line of credit from FTX US, not FTX.com, and will remain an independent entity at least July 2023. I just like, this is supposed to be one of those statements that's like, yeah, be confident, we're fine. It's FTX US, not FTX International. And they're providing us a $400 million line of credit. Like, that doesn't make me feel good. That's not a flex. Like, sure, they were saying FTX US is fully liquid, fully solvent. They could handle withdrawals from every single customer that they have immediately, and there would be no issues. But I mean, everyone's in this circle, at least, has been lying all along. Like, I wouldn't have believed that for 1 second either. Right? That's my personal opinion. Again, it's not a conspiracy theory, but are these tweets not like setting you up for some serious legal issues, or no? No,
I don't think so. Because you could always just have plausible deniability. Everything I was showed that everything was operational and blah, blah, blah. And again, when you are this type of entity, you're just trying to prevent a bank run. The same thing Carolyn was doing the night CZ did it, because again, the point we made earlier, if nobody knew about this and there wasn't a bank run, none of this would have happened, and they could have potentially earned their way out of it. Now, Could they have continued to leverage and continue to do stupid shit, made it worse? Sure, maybe it's good they got caught now. This isn't what it is.
That would also, we're not talking about the fact that they could have just kept doubling down and making it worse, for sure.
Sure, it is good they got caught. What I'm saying is, if you look at the mechanics of what's going on here, this was caused by a bank run. And any company who takes customer deposits, it's going to behoove them right now. And most of them have come out and made a statement, showed you cold wallet addresses, tried to keep you as because the vibe on crypto Twitter right now is get your money off any exchange. That's not a good vibe. There's probably a ton of solvent exchanges that can be fucked by that alone. And if we do not have...
We're more concerned about the dollar values they have in their bank account to process customer withdrawals into cash, right? I don't think that they particularly care if somebody's ETH is sitting on their exchange or not.
No, of course, right. They need to be able to honor withdrawals. Now, we all know how traditional banking works. They have to keep a certain percentage on hand. CZ, maybe rightly, is arguing crypto exchanges have to be different because of the way and speed in which customers could cause a bank run if you don't have enough. He's just saying that we're built different. We have to be different. Okay. Now, that's going to be up to each crypto thing, each regulators, but I cannot blame any company from coming out and basically be like, your funds are SAFU, everything's working great, all that type. You have to. If it proves to be wrong, you have much more problems than the tweet you made trying to prevent the bank.
Yeah, good point. Very, very fair point. I mean, again, like going back to having your crypto in a cold wallet or even just like MetaMask or something like that, like I do believe that this kind of scenario, this thing happening, especially for FTX users that are affected. And again, I really hope that you're made whole and you're able to get, if not all of your money, a large chunk of it out. And, FTX filing for bankruptcy does not mean that that's not going to happen for you. But I just think that for all parties that are affected directly, there's only really two options for people moving forward, right? You're either going to just decide that, okay, crypto is a scam. I bought in when ETH was $5,000. It plummeted 80%. I'm already underwater. Now this, shitty exchange just stole all the rest of my money. I hate crypto. I hate all of the people within it, and I'm out. That's honestly fair. We've seen that plenty of times in the past. In the other runs.
I mean, that was a big lot of people that type of moment.
For sure. And it's ammunition for everybody that's not in crypto. See, I told you it was a scam. These, and let's not forget the timing of this. As you mentioned on the last show, it was a year ago that you were sitting in front of your family saying like, crypto's the next big thing. Crypto, especially if you were new, buy crypto. I don't tell my family to do that shit for this reason. But, now they're going to have social pressure and be like, see, I told you it was a scam. Thanks for, selling me on this, blah, 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 blah. There's going to be a lot of people that are just done with it, at least for the short term. They're going to say, this was a mistake. I lost my money. I don't want anything to do with it. The only other option is that you believe in crypto, the technology behind it, even just the price will go up. You take the loss, or if you're made whole or slightly whole, you take your crypto out and move it somewhere else. Most people right now are going to say, hey, maybe I shouldn't be leaving this stuff or a large percentage of it on exchanges, whether it's Coinbase, whether it's FTX, whether it's Binance, all of these things. I just think that this is a good, like, industry-wide educational teaching moment of, hey, there's a specific use case for crypto in which you actually have your own agency over your money. You don't have to trust a bank. You don't have to trust an exchange. You don't have to trust anybody but yourself to hold this stuff. And you probably should take yourself up on that offer, right? Even if you weren't involved in FTX and you're sitting on the sidelines, there's a lot of people, especially newer people that just got into this, that are saying, I probably shouldn't leave this on Binance. And that's a good thing. That propels the big mission, right?
But no, quite like I think those of us with a libertarian kind of decentralized, but because you hear this fight now, right, about the people who have come recently who want a better user experience and don't quite mind being centralized if they can get it.
I don't
Fighting
either,
with the, right?
but not
No,
all of it.
no. Agreed. I'm the same. It depends on what we're. It's all case by case. It depends on what you're talking about. But there's been this, popular clash with the guys who are pure decentralized, pure on chain, pure all that type of stuff. But I think what this is, for those of us who came from like a pure decentralized band, it doesn't even make sense to me, right? Like I would always just view these things as onboard and offboard. That's what they're there for. It's for
You need
turning
the ramps.
fiat.
You have to have the ramps. It doesn't
That's
magically
it,
just happen. You don't just
right?
throw your money off the balcony and it ends up with like, ETH in your account. You have to have some kind of centralized interface with your current financial institution to get the money in
That
or out. It has to
and
happen.
literally the only thing I ever looked at these exchanges were it was almost like a poker site to me. Like if there was $1,000 tournament, I deposited $1,000 I needed to play that tournament, and I played the
Right.
tournament. Like I didn't look at it as a bank. I never, and I'm not faulting anyone that did, but it's great that we have the decentralization of Ethereum to have the option, because why would you ever not be the custodian of your money? I mean, look at what is happening now in Russia. Look at what is happening in China. Look anywhere where your
Yeah, if
bank
you want to
account,
leave Russia, you can't take your money with you
you can't. Your bank account
unless
is
you had it all in
frozen.
cash. And good luck getting cash right now.
You're only allowed to take $50,000 a year out of China legally. Now think about if you're a businessman and you don't like the way it is there and you want to get your family out. How the fuck can you do that you just couldn't do it. In 20 years you couldn't get out $1 million. So the idea
The
that
same happened in Iraq, right? Like I
right,
knew a family, I worked for them, and they were, I was told very wealthy over there, and they basically just had to pack up and take as much as they legally could or illegally could, whatever it was, and try and get over here. And it was like a small fraction of their wealth, but
the
they had to do it. If crypto was a thing back then, and they were able to get their hands on Bitcoin or ETH and put it, memorize the seed phrase or store it somewhere, like they would have all of their money right now.
And there is something that feels good about it, like being in control of it, even if you're not in one of those dire situations. And this world is dynamic. You never know when the place you live could turn into that place. Well, there are very few options, I guess none, with the exception of gold, outside of crypto, where you could get a large amount in a small place, a small suitcase out and go and start a new life. Decentralize your money. It's the great part of this thing. There's no reason to keep it on an exchange ever. I love the leverage exchanges. I love the FTX type of product. I'd never used FTX. It wasn't allowed in my locality anyway. But I love that type of product, but understand it's a casino. Put the money you want to gamble with on there and never leave large amounts.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah,
Treat it
and,
like
and take whatever your profit is from your trades off of it. Just keep the trading stack on there, right?
it takes 2
And
seconds.
and if your trading stack, if you're
easy.
what's that?
I'm just saying crypto. So like think about stocks. If you took every profit you made from stocks, it'd be like 6 days into your bank account. 6 days, like it's madness getting money in and out of your brokerage account.
Right. Yeah.
It's 2 seconds. You made a profit. Boom. If you really needed to put it back in there, it'd be 2 seconds right on back.
Yep. Yeah. No. I mean, and that goes back to like, this is all a risk equation too, of like how much are you willing to risk on your trades, how much you're keeping on exchanges should be basically the same number, right? Like if you have your main stack, your savings or whatever, and you're trading like, I would say even trading like 20% of that could be considered a pretty high amount, like a pretty risky amount, right? Like, if you were a poker player and you had your bankroll, like sitting down with 20% of your bankroll on any given day is a big risk, right?
But why would you ever have more than 2 bets on there? Like, let's say you had a theory. I think Doge is going to go up. So you place your bet on Doge. You should always have a bet behind you so that you can react to anything that comes up instantly. Other than that, why would you need a third bet? The moment you place that second bet, you can put another bet on there within 30 seconds, a minute, however long it takes to transfer ETH or USDT. You could have another bet on there within a minute. You don't ever have to have more. So, bankroll management is the key in this game, and you have to know how much you need to place on each bet, whether you have all your money on the exchange or all your money in your own wallet. Knowing your betting size is such a huge part of being a successful trader. That could be an entire episode in and of itself. But as far as letting these exchanges be custodians for your money, why ever have more than 2 bets as long as you know you can get more money there instantly? On a traditional exchange, you have to have money. You can't just get money there instantly when an idea comes up, and we know how fast markets move. Here, just have 1 bet behind you. You never need to have more than 2 bets. We all get lazy, but maybe this will, convince you not to be as lazy. No reason to.
Yeah.
Look,
well, and what's the opportunity cost? It's going to cost you a couple of minutes.
Right. Oh, and here's the only real issue is when you're trading real money. These exchanges tend to limit you to like 100 grand. So if you make 500 grand on a trade or $1 million on a trade, you have a much different calculus, because now you have to wire the money, and now you're back into a traditional time lag type of thing, right? So I understand in some way this is a lot more dangerous or damaging to large players, because it is the large players who were like, I'm not worried about having my money on FTX. And they knew they couldn't move it out quick. You had $15 million on there last week, and you could only pull out 100,000 a day. Were you going to rush to get out 800,000 by the time this news, or were you just going to be like, well, that would only be 800K anyway, I might as well, let's just hope that's where it gets tough. So
not the game I'm playing.
Well, look, that's why decentralized exchanges also are so important and have their place, because now you can go place any size bet you want as the liquidity pool allows, and you're not worried about, because you're still the custodian of your money. But certainly most people here are probably not, moving $100,000 per transaction. So just keep only a couple bets on these exchanges. The ones with leverage, while I don't see a need to keep money on Coinbase, like I don't see why you would when you have other options. It's different. They don't offer leverage. You know what I mean? Like anything's possible, but
Coinbase is also playing a little bit of a different game, being a publicly traded company too, right?
They're completely regulated. Like they have to have $1 in X account for dollars deposited type of shit. Like there's no.
Doesn't mean that they do, but they're definitely. No, they're definitely going to be watched a lot closer.
Well, and that's why I found it. I tweeted out the other day. I thought it was funny. I was like, traditional finance is dancing on your grave today for something that they did in 2008, 2001, 1997, 1994, 1991, 1987, 1982, 1977, 1972. Those are all legitimate times that traditional finance sent us into either multi-month or multi-year bear markets because one or two firms over-leveraged, blew themselves up, and lost a bunch of customer deposits. Like this is terrible for a nascent, burgeoning industry that is fighting the man and kind of needs their help to become legitimate. And now we have this big issue. This is not new. This is not unusual. This is exactly what motherfuckers who work in finance have been doing since they could do it, since the Dutch East India Company was traded.
A tale as old as time. FTX
really is. It really is. It's just to the point of we are a nascent industry and we need help to become legitimate. It's not a great moment for that, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have the long-standing history of like. It's getting there though. I mean, we're in what 14 years now, right?
Everyone was comparing Sam Bankman-Fried to JP Morgan when he was bailing everybody out. Now, why were they comparing him to JP Morgan? Because in 1907, during the Great Bank Panic, JP Morgan came in and bailed everybody out. Now, you would not recognize what a bank was back then compared to what it was today. There was no FDIC insurance. These banks were not required to have capital reserves. They were gambling people's money. And the way they were doing it was by giving people leverage to buy stocks, okay? The reason the 1929 bubble was so big is because people could go out and get 100-to-1 leverage. They could buy $100 worth of shares with $1 down back in the day, okay? And obviously, if it went 1% against them, they got liquidated just like you did. There's nothing new here. Stocks weren't regulated. There were a lot of people who thought it should be outlawed at that time. People thought it was just a gambler's empire. A lot of people that JP Morgan hated stocks. He thought stocks were for the poor. He was like, I don't mess with stocks. If I'm going to buy a company, I buy the fucking company. Stocks? Right. What's a stock? Okay. Stocks were for the poor. Guess what? Crypto's the same thing right now. It's the exact same thing. So while the Sam being JP Morgan analogy may not be true, the stock market during the 1910 to 1930 decades, very similar, in my opinion, to crypto right now. So it is, and look, back then you would have been like, oh, this is going to set the stock market back 5 years and all that shit. And that, yeah, man, it sure it did. And there were a lot of issues, but this is what Sam did is not new or mysterious. It's not crypto specific. And in no way did it mean crypto was dead. So
mic drop.
Bang.
FTX putting out their official press release about the Chapter 11. Nothing incredibly groundbreaking there, but just John J. Ray III has been appointed CEO of the FTX Group. Sam has resigned his role, but will remain to assist in an orderly transition. Employees are still expected to work. The immediate relief of Chapter 11 is appropriate to provide the FTX Group the opportunity to assess its situation and develop a process to maximize recoveries for stakeholders. This is exactly what we said Chapter 11 was all throughout the show. The FTX Group has valuable assets that can only be effectively administered in an organized joint process. I want to ensure every employee, customer, creditor, contract party, stockholder, investor, governmental authority, and other stakeholder that we are going to conduct this effort with diligence, thoroughness, transparency. Stakeholders should understand that events have been fast moving and the new team is engaged only recently. Stakeholders should review materials filed on the docket of the proceedings over the coming days for more information. Literally didn't say anything we knew, but that is their official press release. Figured I'd bring it up because it just came out. Oh, no, that was earlier. No, 1 hour ago. I don't know. Whatever time. Cool.
They are bankrupt. Confirmed.
Still bankrupt.
Still bankrupt. Let's see if somebody bails them out.
Well, Justin Sun did something with the Tron holders, right? They're bailing out or allowing Tron holders to get their funds off of FTX.
Right. There's some sort of thing going on there. He is, obviously, I think this episode would caution any of us from believing anybody is a hero at this point. We are talking about a bunch of under 30s who became the richest people in the world on fake internet money.
Oh, Justin Sun is 32.
Yeah, well, we probably should not be trusting anybody. And I in the end, I just don't think that what's going on here is going to have a material impact on crypto price. Just trust, and I hope it does not mean that this was the last Ponzi cycle. I hope it doesn't mean that sites that have leverage start to go away. Binance stops offering it, or KuCoin stops offering it. I like those things. I don't want them to go away, and I just hope this wasn't the beginning of that. So this will all, and obviously,
it could very well be though. Like if it's going to change one thing, like that's probably where this is going to be headed.
Yep.
But
the most likely result.
It's also going to allow big institutions to start moving in more aggressively, which I know we say we don't want, but I mean, price go up.
Yep.
Sorry, I cut you off.
Nope.
No, didn't cut you off.
Nope. So today I have the Wendy. As you know, last time I told you guys about Squint from The Sandlot, the movie, who runs a cannabis company now, a grow. I believe he actually is the cultivator himself, or at least he was like, yeah, we hunted these specific phenotypes. He has 2 strains out on the market right now, the Liz and the Wendy. And of course, the Wendy, it's a shout out to Wendy Heffercorn of the Sandlot movie. Very, very nice cannabis. Go to your
Quite
local.
Enjoyed that.
See if it's
bourbon
there.
The other day.
You did. You had a nice little swig there.
It was nice. Yeah. Nice little start to the morning. A little AM after coffee treat. What else we got? You love what?
My check mark. I keep going to make sure it's not been rugged yet.
The precious check mark.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is the next iteration of Reddit rage, because people are making accounts that mimic corporations and putting the blue check mark on them, and then people are getting outraged. And I mean, my only thought process was like, has anyone used Twitter that's angry right now in the last 2 years? Because this has been going on for a long time.
I guess my only thing is, the reason it happened is because it's novel, right? Like, this is new. It's going to get old. Like, the jokes would stop being funny, and people got to pay $8 a month to continue with these jokes. And not only that, he had frozen people's ability to change their name, which I actually thought was pretty smart. So if you decided to change it to a parody and make one joke because you had a blue check mark, you were stuck there. So if you make that a policy, that seems like a great policy. I'm not going to go change my name to a parody now if it's going to get stuck there. I'm not risking that shit. So, yeah, it looks like Elon is floundering a bit, I guess you would say there. There was a report yesterday. He had his first hands-on, all-hands employee meeting at Twitter. Few sound bites came out. The one that was most shared, of course, was him saying, we may possibly go into bankruptcy. Now, Elon likes to say things, and he definitely is one of those people who likes to say things to his employees that may or may not be true if he thinks it's going to motivate them. I am not saying it is not true, and we know now that Elon got there that Twitter was losing $4 million a day, right? I don't know how long that's sustainable, whether Elon had gotten there or not. So this very well could be true. But once everybody came out today and started dancing on Twitter, people leaving notes like, yeah, man, if this shuts down, you can meet me over on Medium or Slack. Here's my da-da-da. And I was like, all right, fade. You know, if you just fade things like FTX happening, you'll be right every time. You know, you will be. I don't mean fade it with your money. I don't mean if you think that something uh, could threaten all of your. It's really about percentages, right? Like you can't have all your money anywhere, and if you think the place you have all of it even has a 1% chance of failing, you got to get it off. Okay, like now if you have 10% of it there, and you think the place has a 1% chance of failing, you're probably just gonna be like,
reasonable bet.
Right.
That's good bet sizing.
Right.
It's good risk management.
Exactly. Now, all that said, if something has such a small chance of happening, then you should fade it. And in the context of we're traders here, all right? During the peak of the Russia war with Ukraine, we're hearing a lot of nuclear war talk. What is Putin going to do? You fade that every time. Sure. One time you may be wrong, but the one time you're wrong, you're really not going to care that you made a social media post saying that it wasn't going to happen. You're going to be finding shelter with your family. No one's going to be sitting there with their phone like, did you tweet this? Well, look at us now, motherfucker. Look at us now. No one's going to care. All right. So always fade things like FTX happening if they genuinely have a 1% chance of coming true, because it's just a good bet. Because then you get those asymmetric moves where like everyone said something was dead and it's not. What?
I think I want to go play poker tomorrow.
I like it.
I think I want to. I have not been to the casino and played like casino cards in a long time. Done the blackjack thing. That hasn't gone well for me lately, but yeah, I don't know. I think it might be time. I don't have a lot going on. Nothing really planned for tomorrow.
Got to gamble somehow.
Yeah, I don't know. Just play like a something low stakes, just to get out and touch the felt. When's the last time you've done in-person cards?
In-person cards, it's been a long time, since before I had my son.
Right. That's a while ago.
He just started school, right? So he's becoming independent now. And I don't feel I have to be as much a stay-at-home dad. And I've been thinking about the World Series a lot. Because
you keep trying to
well, COVID, of course, threw a wrench into all live events, and this year was the first.
Are they still doing the November final table, or they scrapped that?
They scrapped it. I forget.
Good.
I think they only have like a week delay now. It's a small delay now, or they worked out the delay or something. I mean, it all came to it is as we can see now. It is hard to prevent cheating in a lot of the classic games that we know because of technology. I mean, what are augmented reality glasses going to do for poker? Why couldn't they track cards, right? AI can track cards. You can track imperfections on the back of the card with AI, right? Like,
or even just being able to keep track of shown hands in front of like a player and keeping that would be huge, right? Because
the same way
that's one of the edges that people have, is that mental edge of being able to concentrate for long periods of time and retain all of the information. And if glasses can be taught to do that, it's tough.
They've had them in online poker for years where you're able to track other players because everyone's hand history is on chain, it's public, right? So you can mine a player's hand history and develop a profile on them, because that's all you're doing, right? As a human, you watch someone play and you develop a profile. Oh, he's fast, he's loose, he plays this way, he does this type of call. Well, computers can track most of that shit, and online poker has had that for years. Well, what if you had augmented reality glasses and it just overlaid it at live poker tables? I mean, that type of stuff is coming. So
I wonder how they prevent against that.
Well, I think eventually sunglasses are going to be banned at We're not there. It'll take a few years.
I fucking hate sunglasses at tables anyways.
Oh, me too. Look, the old school players always hated it. I want it to be done with, so this will be a good reason to finish it.
It was one of those things that, like, I always, for the most part, honestly, I assigned a higher likelihood to that person that they were a fish, if I'm being completely honest with you.
I will lay odds within 6 years there is an artificial intelligence scandal at the World Series of Poker. And because you could ban glasses, but it's going to be harder to ban contact lenses, and that shit will be around the corner as well. So they'll have to have special scanning.
Contact lenses are further than 6 years out.
Yeah, that's probably true. Probably further than 6 years. I think you'll see a sunglass
power source powering them is would be the issue, right?
Yeah, definitely. But I think you'll see a sunglasses scandal within 5 years, for sure. With Apple known to have them coming out within 3 years. And again, if you know there's millions at stake, why wouldn't you go design your own with some engineer, like some literal?
I wonder if there's I wonder what the ruling would be. Like, are these things going to be required to have like a light on them that shows that they're recording or something? You know what I mean? Like, that the camera's active so that other people can see.
Maybe.
But then you can just cover it up, I guess. I don't know. Because I'm thinking of like places where like privacy is generally held in some kind of importance.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that that's happening. I mean, we already had that poker scandal happen, I guess a couple of months ago now. We talked about that on the show, though.
Yeah, and if you look at chess, right? Chess is easier than poker because you don't have the art of bluffing. It's 100% mathematical, right? And they don't need augmented reality glasses. You can come up with Morse code or signals. So we know that the latest scandal was anal beads that were being used that were giving some sort of...
That was highly speculative, but I mean, that's kind of one of the conclusions that they jumped to say, like, if there was no other way, how did he do it?
You could do it. Whether this guy did it or not, you could. It's
the big thing about that guy was just that, like... And here's the thing, right? About... It's not that every single move he was doing would have been dictated by a computer, although there were a couple of games that he played where his accuracy rating was way higher than any other Grand Champion's accuracy rating has ever been, including Magnus, including Bobby Fischer, and all of those people. But, I mean, the thing about that is you just need to have a substantial edge over someone, just one or two hints. You know what I mean? Like, if you're in a tough spot, and all of a sudden you know that you can rely on an AI to give you the line, that can easily put you over the edge. Just that one or two thing, one or two moves in a match, and I think that's where it got probably a little bit easier to get that across.
Yeah.
But I mean, in traditional chess, it was not uncommon. Like, they have like 2-hour timer. It wasn't uncommon for them to make a move and then get up and go to the bathroom and stuff like that. Like, chess professionals have been caught on their phones looking up moves, like in the bathroom and shit too. It wasn't like they had to like stay planted at their seats. So, I mean, there's lots of stuff that it's all going to change, but it definitely begs the question of, like, even in the future, we even actually kind of see it now, but we talk about like augmented body parts, implants, and stuff like that. Like, there was the issue of the runners, right? The guy with the prosthetic legs, right?
Yeah.
It was like, is that actually an advantage over a traditional runner with the way that they're built and the way that you can move with them, and the fact that they don't fatigue the same way? And it's like, well, this guy's an amputee and he's running, but they're like, but is it an unfair advantage, right? So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of human issues that happen in the coming decades where we have to like start deciding where that is, or if it's just a free for all. Like, okay, everybody can use machine technology, and it's like, what is that small human edge that you can impart into it? I don't know.
I think that's the eventual direction of things, only because they're just going to give up of it. It's going to be too much eventually. There's nothing you could do. You might as well just say everyone could do everything. It's up to That was the argument with steroids in baseball. You might as well just say you
and
can't.
cycling. It was just like, just you know, at what point do you just fucking go for it? Everyone else has always been doing it. I'm not saying that was the right thing to do, but what was it? It was like when they finally got through all of it. It was like the 9th place person in the Tour de France was like the only one that wasn't doping.
Yeah. Yeah, the drugs give great advantages.
Yeah, they do. It's crazy. And that is only going to be compounded in the future. It's essentially an arm race, right? Like,
it is. Biotechnology. That's why I encourage everybody here to go connect with nature. Bring your electronics, bring your phone, but go connect with nature.
When's the last time you've touched grass?
All right, if you insist.
Yeah, I've set you up for that one. Cool, man. Did you see, what did you think of the, while we're just hanging out, the KPR reveal? Did you see it? Did you like it?
It looked like Phantom. You know, the Phantom X, the PX.
The PXN ones?
Which look like Valhalla. Which look like, they all look the same. You know why, though? It's what the kids like in their video game. They all look like what the kids want their Fortnites and their Elden Rings to look like.
I thought this was a collection, if you want to differentiate it from like the PXNs of the world.
I don't.
I thought they did a good job. What's that?
I said I don't, but go ahead. That was a joke.
Oh, you don't?
Nope,
show's over.
Well, what's the difference?
No, I just thought that they did a good job of like making the floors look differential. I don't know. I think that there's a pretty decent variety in there.
The art is fine. And I'm sure you can take each project and look at it and, you know, some art's a little better or not. But what all these projects seem to want to do a very similar thing. I am not against it because it seems to be what Web 2 has proved is the model kids are attracted to. So let us see if it works.
Yeah.
It doesn't excite me as a NFT collector, but I think what we're doing now is we're trying to lose the idea of NFTs, and NFT collector is going to go back to the niche weirdo thing that it was, and you're just going to have, you know, digital assets for all types of fun things. And KPR looks like one of those things.
So the NFTs being used to get funds off FTX. Sorry, what?
Is it like a game or a Valhalla type thing?
They've been pretty quiet on like the actual like where it's going to go, unless I've missed something.
That's always good in NFTs. Opaqueness and mystery. It's led to many great things. Look, some of the greatest projects of our time.
It is heavy on the storytelling kind of narrative, though. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say some of the greatest projects of our time were very mysterious, had extremely attractive roadmaps with stuff that was redacted and, you know, all sorts of great stuff. And we can look at them all today, like, and then there's also...
Are you redacting?
Wait, that's right. That model never worked even once, and everybody was just bullshitting. That's right. No.
Sometimes people even do it with whole exchanges.
Yeah, in the end, it was JPEG. All of it. JPEGs all the way down, baby.
Well, that's like one of the things that like is hilarious to me was, you know, the narrative in NFTs that was like, we need to dox everybody. Don't trust anybody who isn't doxed and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Sam Bankman-Fried is the most recognizable face in crypto for the past 2 years. And
it wasn't founders we needed to distrust. It was NFTs. They were just JPEGs.
Are you bearish on NFTs now?
No. I have been bullish on NFTs for years. I don't know what everyone has been bullish on for the last 8 months, but it wasn't NFTs.
Fair.
They were bullish on promise. And those are great bull markets and all. But I lamented we went from a bunch of weirdos who love digital art to I don't know what the fuck. Like it's influencers and spaces and utility and NFTs can do this, that, and it never needed to be more than a JPEG. And when it became that, we lost our way. I love NFTs, and I will always love NFTs. They have been ruined, and I enjoy the thing that they've become, miss it, and hope we get more of it. But it ain't NFTs. I know they call it that.
Digital collectibles.
It's all coins with JPEGs attached.
I was at the bar the other day, and there was a guy talking to, I presume, his father. I don't know, sitting there. And man, he was the exact reason why I don't tell people in public, like, what I do. Like, it was just, and he was going on and on and on about Bitcoin. And I was listening to it, and I was like, nothing that he said was factually incorrect. A lot of it was just regurgitated opinions that we've heard a million times. And it was fine, but he was the loudest person in the bar, and all you could hear is Bitcoin, and then, like, whoever he was sitting with, like, I don't think he said a word for 2 hours while this guy just went on and on and on and on and on and on. And that was like a lot of what was going on in the NFT market too. It was, you know, that meme where the guy's got his arm around the girl and he's telling her, like, you know, that's there was a lot of that going on, man.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a CZ tweet. Let's pull that up and then we'll.
I looked at it. It just looked like the same thing he tweeted yesterday. Like, you shouldn't trust exchanges that don't do this, 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 and this. Stay Safu, everybody.
Yeah,
he's trying to be that guy. It's like the same tweet he tweeted yesterday.
Nah, whatever. Pull it up. Oh, he tweeted one 1 minute ago too.
Oh, he did.
Bloomberg reported Binance Reserve shows almost half of holdings are in its own token. Boy, that would not be good. He responded with shit journalism. BUSD is issued by Paxos and NYDFS regulated entity, not Binance. The numbers are all wrong too. These are user assets in the form users choose to store with us. We don't convert for them. Okay. Well, hopefully he's not lying about that. I don't know. It's not like anybody in the last 6 months has tweeted something that's not true. At this point, I'm just here talking.
I would just watch the price of ETH. Any news item that comes out, check the price. If it hasn't moved that much, it doesn't mean anything.
Man, he's speaking in person. I thought CZ was like one of those people. Like, is he even a real person? I guess that's him with Vitalik. Where's the bulge? Not looking too impressive there.
I'm glad that's where your eyes.
Is it not now when you see any picture of Vitalik after that?
I wouldn't have even. You could have fooled me.
Right. Yeah, right. That's all you were talking about for 2 weeks.
Two brains standing there.
You didn't just objectify him?
I only objectify cows.
Sorry, what?
Only objectify cows and goats.
Cows and goats?
Yeah, I find them delectable in all sorts of preparations.
Great. PETA entered the chat.
Yeah, especially on a pita. If you go to Mahmoud's on St. Mark's Place, the lamb gyro on a pita. Ooh, baby.
I might order lunch today. Lamb curry.
As opposed to what? Look at the price of crypto and cry? You're like, I may eat today. You know what? I'm going to eat
I didn't say I might eat lunch today. I said I might order it.
I know. I'm joking.
No, not a funny joke, free market.
Today's a food day. What do you say, guys? Food?
Stress eating.
Mm.
No, I don't know. I feel pretty good about where we are. That bounce yesterday was good verification that it wasn't the.
Heard it here. R2 calling the bear market over. R2 said bear market is over.
Yeah, guys.
Again, quote it.
Timestamp it, 11:26 a.m., November 11th, 2022. Bear market's over. I suspect we'll hit all-time highs in under a month.
Under a month?
No, not at all. Not at all.
No.
No, but I just just doesn't feel like it's going to go down anymore. Or, you know what I mean.
Ethereum says, hold my beer.
Yeah, really, I know. This is what we do here. We say this shit, and then by the end of the show, it was down 10%. All right, fuck it. Let's wrap this up. Unless you got anything else you want to talk about. Anything else?
No.
You don't want to talk about FTX for another hour?
Ugh. Ever again.
Never again? It's over. This going forward, we are an FTX free show.
I'll say the good news for all of you is you're even earlier than you were last week. If you thought you were early last week, woo! You are years earlier this week. You all of a sudden you have gotten in a time machine.
Time traveled, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Wow, this is like buying in 2018 now.
You early thing, you.
Look at that. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Nice little 2-hour show we had here. All things pretty much FTX. I was really we talked about the inflation in other markets, and then we kind of just bounced around for a while. But pretty much all anyone's talking about right now. I have no doubt that there will be more to talk about on Monday, but we'll try and maybe find some more nuanced conversation as well, just so it's not all FTX. But who knows? That might be the only thing to talk about. Hopefully nothing worse, though. I guess that's maybe the overarching thought that I have there. Right, Monday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, we will be back live. If you want to hit the like button down below, we'd really appreciate it. That's great. It helps us out, yada, yada, yada. I know, very convincing. Free market, always a pleasure being up here with you. Enjoy your weekend. I hope everybody watching enjoys their weekend as well. And just keep your crypto safe there, folks. Move it off the exchange, because that's not where it should be. Not all of it, at least. Free market, hit us.
Good luck at the tables, DJ.